So far this year, I've flown on Qatar Airways a few times, however I've mainly recorded my experiences going to Doha. However, today I'll combine my two experiences on my flights from Doha to Manchester on board the Boeing 777-300ER that took in February earlier this year and the Boeing 787-9 that took recently in June. This is basically a combined flight review along with the airport experiences. However, the flights are operated by the same flight numbers, so you'll see videos from both journeys. Despite having already reviewed both these aircraft, I'm putting up another review as I find my experiences to be different on these flights. In February, my day started late at night at Baghdad Airport in Iraq. I've decided to include this in my flight review as there isn't much online about the airport, so I thought I might as well show you what it's like. Upon arriving to the airport, I was greeted with a few checkpoints on the road linking the airport to the city, where at some point I had to leave my taxi so that the security could get sniffer dogs to make sure that the taxi is free to enter the airport premises. Once arriving towards the main building, yet again there were sniffer dogs, but instead we had to line up our bags so that the dogs could check them. We headed inside and guess what? More security. This one was a proper security though with no dogs, however instead of having something else after it, we put through another security again. That's 4 times in a row.
Welcome to a new YouTube video. Today we're going on Qatar Airways back to Manchester. Right now I'm in Baghdad International Airport and we'll go through Doha. I'm not going to film much of the first flight because I've already put it on YouTube, you can see my last video. But I will show you the second flight because it will be a high density Boeing 777 compared to the lower density that way I went on a few videos back. See on the eye above. So I hope you enjoy the video.
After this I headed into check-in, which was not too busy. Before flying, I'd paid to sit in row 3 of the 737 MAX that I was flying on, which was the first row of economy, so expecting some extra leg room. However, after looking at my boarding pass, I saw that I'd been moved right to the last row of economy, row 31. Once on board, I could see that this was so much different, as not only did I not get the extra legroom that I paid for, but the seat didn't even recline. I had no adjustable headrest unlike the other seats.
Can't recline my seat. You've got an adjustable headrest. Wait, is it not even adjustable? Oh, it moves up and down.
After check-in, I headed to passport control before heading into the main part of the terminal. I was really underwhelmed by the duty free as there were only 2 shops and 2 restaurants and lounges. All in all though, there was a lot of seating and the architecture of the terminal was also very nice. After an hour and a bit of boredom, I headed to the gate, so I once again had to go through security before waiting a bit to board my 737 MAX taking me to Doha. The flight was literally the exact same as the flights I reviewed a few videos back, apart from the seats and the Ryanair landing. Hence, I'm not going to cover it in this video, but will continue my journey later on towards Manchester.
Come on, get on the ground nicely.
Fast forward to June where I started my journey in Doha. The airport has only just celebrated its 10th anniversary, so it's quite a new airport, with lots of it having been renovated and extended to accommodate the large passenger capacity needed during the Qatar World Cup in 2022. Although the airport is quite new, spacious and modern, I felt like it was really dark in the night and didn't give me that airy feeling that I get with other airports Doha Hamad is competing with, such as Istanbul airports and other ones in the Middle East. However, I did see that there were lots of windows on the ceiling which would allow natural light to flow in the building during the daytime.
Can't believe I'm already back. It's gone way too quick. So I'm back in Doha Hamad, ready to go on a flight.
The signs for check-in weren't really clear and I accidentally found myself checking in the business class area, but nevertheless the staff were really friendly. After I whizzed through passport control and security, which barely had any queues, I headed into the main part of the terminal, which was rammed. Most passengers transit through Doha, so the Landside of the airport is quite empty. This is how my journey from Baghdad joins this journey. Once in the terminal, being the geek I am, I headed straight to the Qatar Airways official store and purchased a few Qatar Airways branded goodies, such as keyrings, teddies and a water bottle. There were also other branded goodies such as suitcases, model planes and merchandise, not only from the airline but also from companies that sponsor such as the football club Paris Saint-Germain. I managed to also catch a bite to eat from one of the many restaurants which were really busy before exploring the rest of the terminal. I had heard many things about the orchard at Hamad International Airport, and so I wanted to see it for myself. It was a little difficult as there weren't a lot of signs, but after a bit of researching and asking around, I hopped onto the monorail and I was amazed. It felt really soothing to be somewhere like this in an airport, and it's really nice to be able to sit and relax before a long flight. There was also many restaurants and high-end shops here too. However, at the same time there were so many people sleeping on the floor which would kind of ruin the feel of the orchard, but the sounds of the birds in the background made the area feel really tranquil. After some time in the orchard, I made my way to the gates. When in February my 777 was waiting, or in June my 787 was there ready to take me to Manchester. As soon as I stepped on board, I was greeted by the lovely cabin crew and I headed to my seats. Once on board, on both flights I was greeted with a small pillow, a fluffy blanket, some headphones and amenity kit, which was filled with good things to help you sleep on an overnight flight like this. To see what the individual seats are like on these flights, I'd recommend checking out the videos I made on them, which you can see either in the description or on the cards now. As a brief tour, both seats included an entertainment system, a foldable tray table, a large seat pocket, a generous amount of legroom, and a good recline with strong adjustable headrests. Just one difference though was that on the 777 flights, the plane was slightly more outdated than the one I took on my way to Doha, and was also the high density 777 opposed to the low density 777 I reviewed. However, the seats are pretty much the same, but have an older and smaller looking screen, and the business class towards the front was noticeably older and nowhere near as good as the business suites on the 787-9s or the Q suites on select 777 and A350-900s, along with the A350-1000 aircraft. Not so long after, we pushed back and headed into the darkness of Qatar and headed to Manchester. After takeoff, I decided to watch an in-flight entertainment for a bit, which I found to be very underwhelming on the 777, but quite the opposite on the 787, where there being so much more on offer to watch and do along with the exterior cameras. One thing that was missing though, was that there was no search feature, which made it difficult to search for specific movies and TV shows unlike other competing airlines such as Turkish Airlines. After about an hour and a half into the flight, the crew came around with a snack service consisting of 2 types of sandwiches and a variety of drinks to choose from. On both flights, these sandwiches differed a bit, so I put the menu for the flights on the screen now, which you can see. As both flights were on the same flight number, the meal selections were the same. Unfortunately, the sandwiches did not taste great and I was really left unimpressed, especially after I had amazing services and meals on my previous flights. I also forgot to mention that these flights have the flight number QR21, which then turns to QR22 when it returns from Manchester to Doha, which also happens to be the same flights that I flew on to review both the 777 and the 787 in my previous videos. Also, my experience on the 787 is on the 787-9, which differs from the 787-8 that Qatar Airways also operates, as the -9 is much more newer and updated. As it was really late, I decided to try and get some sleep. I found the seats on the 787 to be really comfortable for sleeping. The top part of the seat is actually slightly wider, which not only helps give more room for a large entertainment screen, but also gives a little more room to move around. However, I found the 777 to be really uncomfortable and narrow. The seats on the 787 are newer than the 777, and I can see that they are really well designed. Both seats also had a generous recline and a stronger adjustable headrest, which helps with sleeping, but when both seats were reclined, they moved a little bit forward, therefore reducing your legroom a bit. I slept quite well on the 787, but was the complete opposite on the 777. The cabin temperature on the 777 was freezing, and after landing I found out that it wasn't just me that felt this, but it also didn't help sitting next to the window, as the window was cold, with it being winter, cold and dark outside. On the 787 flight, the plane was not as cold but still a little cold, however the blanket helped a lot with this. If you didn't know, the 787 does not have window shades, but instead has a button to control the opacity with an electrical current being applied to a gel in the window, which alters the opacity. From this, I found out that when it was cold in the aircraft, it helped make the window as dark as possible, as it in a way slightly heated up the window, preventing it from getting cold. Around 2 hours before landing, the crew came around with the main meal service, which was breakfast. The choices that were available pretty much the same on both flights. I opted for the egg omelettes, which came with a sausage and some potatoes. It also came with sides of a small fruit salad, which I could tell was fresh, a chia pudding, which I really enjoyed, and the same croissant like I got on the other flights, and a bottle of water along with the drinks from the large selection available. Although the meals were supposedly the same, they did look very different, which seems odd. All in all, just like most of the other meals I've had with Qatar Airways, it tasted really good, particularly the egg, which also tasted moist opposed to how egg usually tastes, with them usually being really rubbery and dry on planes. However, altogether the meal tasted delicious and the portions were also quite generous. After meal services on flights, the lavatories tend to get quite busy. However, that wasn't the case on these flights, as the 787-9 had 6 lavatories, whereas the 777 had 7 for economy, and they were both quite tight but were cleaned every so often and including some amenities. The crew, as usual, were really friendly and helpful if you needed anything. Something I particularly liked in the 787 lavatory was the pedal under the sink, which opened up the bin so you'd have to touch it. This once again shows how well thought out and well designed the aircraft is. Wi-Fi was also available on both flights at a price of $10 US, which is the set price on all Qatar Airways flights no matter how long the flight actually is. Luckily though, Qatar Airways Privilege Club members can get access to 1 hour free Wi-Fi in all flights. As this was still pretty late and there was some time till landing, I slept for the rest of the flight and woke up as the sun rose and we eventually landed into Manchester. In Manchester, we deboarded into the new Terminal 2, which has grown on me quite quickly, and it's nice to see that my local airport is investing in its passenger experience. I also managed to whiz through the passport control and was probably the fastest I've ever done it anywhere in the world. Thank you for watching this video. For more, don't forget to like and subscribe along with turning on post notifications so you know when I next post a video. Goodbye and happy travels.